There's something fascinating about games that deliberately disregard what everyone told them was correct. FIFA Street for the PlayStation 2 did just that. It did not attempt to be a faithful, laborious simulation of 90 minutes on a perfectly manicured pitch. Instead, it posed the question, what if football were reduced to style, improvisation, and the gloriously reckless improvisational skills of street play? Then it created a playground around the question. FIFA Street, released in the early 2000s era of console experimentation, was inspired by EA's desire to capture urban football culture, small teams, makeshift pitches, walls that could be bounced off, and a focus on flair. It wasn't about tactical discipline or fading crosses into the box. It was about daring tricks, outrageous dribbles, and those split-second moments of individual brilliance that cause you to pause, laugh, and rewind. The game stands out most in terms of gameplay. Matches were smaller, more intense, and focused. Instead of managing formations, you were stringing together flicks, feints, and rainbow flicks. Scoring was based on both flair and goals. The controls were deceptively simple, allowing for expressive combinations. It rewarded creativity, risk-taking, and the belief that every possession could be a highlight reel. That gave it a wonderfully arcade-like feel, easy to pick up, but deep enough for the best players to develop true expertise. Graphically, the PS2 version is of its time. Stylized character models, bold camera work, and arenas that felt lived in. Concrete courts with graffiti, chain link fences, and the kind of soundscapes that pushed hip-hop and urban tracks into the foreground. The soundtrack and presentation helped sell a sense of culture and place. You didn't feel like you were in a sterile stadium. You felt like you were in a city that loved the game. FIFA Street stood out from the mainstream football sims of the time, such as the major FIFA installments and Konami's Pro Evolution Soccer. FIFA and Pro Evo pursued realism, physics, and the gradual accumulation of tactical nuance, whereas FIFA Street provided immediacy and spectacle. You can also compare it to EA's other big experiments at the time, such as NBA Street, which swapped simulation for attitude. Each sought a distinct pleasure, calculated realism versus nearly cinematic, exaggerated fun. Moving forward to 2025, the landscape has changed. The simulation side, which is now dominated by EA Sports FC and competitors such as eFootball, has become extremely realistic in terms of visuals and mechanics. But, interestingly, the influence of street football is undeniable in modern features such as Volta, introduced later in the 2010s, and the ongoing emergence of small-sided modes in sports franchises. Modern hardware and networked play make today's street-style modes feel more immersive, with richer physics, online tournaments, cosmetic progression, and live service content. That's both good and bad. It gives players more to do, but it also introduces microtransactions and monetization in ways that the PS2 era did not anticipate. So, what holds up? The central concept of FIFA Street, which celebrates skill and improvisation, remains relevant today. Played today, it can feel charmingly immediate. The arcade controls and smaller matches provide a welcome break from simulation fatigue. Where it shows its age is in online support, which is largely non-existent for the PS2, simpler animations, and a certain repetition once you've exhausted all of its tricks. Furthermore, later entries and modern street modes improved on what FIFA Street started, better context for single-player progression, more diverse arenas, and gameplay system balance. If you look back in 2025, FIFA Street on PS2 is a fascinating artifact, an elegant experiment that prioritized playfulness over realism and culture over bureaucratic simulation. It may not be the most in-depth football experience, but it is one of the most enjoyable. And it teaches a lesson. Sometimes a game that embraces constraints and focuses on style rather than detail produces a clearer, bracing joy. Finally, joy is what we should strive for in any creative endeavor. The courage to be bold, to break the rules, and to create something that makes people smile. If you like this look back, hit like, subscribe, and tell me, what's your favorite trick from the old school street football games? Thanks for listening. Play well and play with style.